On Christmas Eve, in the winter of 1945, the Sodder family went to sleep, believing they would wake up to an ordinary holiday morning, unaware that within hours their lives would fracture in a way that would never truly heal, leaving behind a mystery that would follow them for the rest of their lives. George and Jenny Sodder lived in Fayetteville, West Virginia, raising 10 children in what appeared to be a normal working-class household, shaped by routine, discipline, and the optimism of post-war America. That night passed quietly, with nothing unusual enough to later feel like a warning. Shortly after 1 in the morning, Jenny woke to the sound of something striking the roof, followed by a rolling noise that quickly faded. She checked the house, found nothing out of place, and returned to bed, assuming it was nothing more than a stray object in the dark. Less than an hour later, she woke again, this time to the smell of smoke. The fire spread rapidly. Flames climbed the walls and filled the house with heat and panic. George tried to act, but almost immediately, things began to fail in ways that would later feel impossible to explain. The staircase leading to the attic, where 5 of the children were sleeping, was already blocked by fire. George ran outside to retrieve the ladder normally kept beside the house, only to discover it was gone. He then tried to move his truck closer to the building to climb onto the roof, but the engine refused to start, despite having worked without issue the day before. Neighbors later reported hearing loud bangs during the fire, but at the time there was no clarity, only confusion and helplessness, as the family watched the house burn to its foundation in less than 45 minutes. When daylight came, investigators searched the ashes, expecting to find the remains of the 5 missing children. Instead, they found nothing. No bones. No fragments. No evidence that anyone had died in the fire at all. Officials concluded that the children had been completely cremated by the blaze, but experts later noted that even intense house fires rarely destroy all human remains, especially not 5 bodies, and certainly not without leaving a trace. As days passed, unsettling reports began to surface. Witnesses claimed to have seen 5 children near the house during the fire, watching from a distance. Others reported a car speeding away from the area shortly before the collapse. A woman working at a nearby diner said she had served breakfast the next morning to 5 children, matching their descriptions, accompanied by adults she did not recognize. George and Jenny refused to accept the official explanation. They became convinced their children had not died, but had been taken. What followed was a lifelong search. They hired private investigators, followed leads across state lines, and placed a large billboard along a highway displaying photographs of the missing children, pleading for information year after year. Decades later, Jenny received a photograph in the mail. It showed a young man with dark hair and familiar eyes. On the back was written, "Louis Sodder. I love Brother Frankie." Louis was one of the children believed to have died. The family attempted to trace the photo, but the trail ended almost immediately. Whoever sent it was never identified. More disturbing details continued to emerge. George had reportedly received threats before the fire, including warnings that his house would be destroyed and his children taken. The missing ladder was later found in a nearby ravine. Telephone lines had been cut, preventing calls for help. Despite this, no arrests were ever made. No bodies were ever found. No definitive proof of death was produced. George died believing his children were alive. Jenny continued searching for answers for the rest of her life, wearing black not for confirmed deaths, but for the uncertainty that never allowed closure. What makes the Sodder case truly unsettling is not only the disappearance, but how reality seems to fail around it. A fire with no remains. Witnesses ignored. Evidence that appeared and vanished. Systems that failed simultaneously. 5 children disappeared on a night of celebration, and were never officially returned to the world, not as bodies, not as survivors, but as unanswered names on a billboard that slowly faded under the sun. The Sodder children were never found, and no one has ever proven they died. In the weeks that followed, the Sodder family began to notice how quickly the story was being closed around them, how certain officials seemed eager to move on, and how questions that should have demanded answers were instead brushed aside with rehearsed certainty, as if the conclusion had been decided before the evidence had even been examined.